Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 80 of the Seezus Show. Another milestone yet again. And I just want to say thank you guys for always showing that love. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't already at the Seezus Show, at Sir Seezus. And just spread the love, man, because this episode can only go up from here. This podcast can only go up from here. You know, before we get into episode 80, I always like to rehash the previous episode rather. So in episode 79, it was myself and my co-host, Trey Day XXIV, and we talked about episode 7 to 8 of The Last Dance, Zion Williamson's legal troubles, and much, much, much more. It's kind of sad that, you know, we have to come to an end of a journey with Michael Jordan and his greatness. So I hope you guys enjoyed The Last Dance because this episode is going to focus on wrapping that up and much, much more debates. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into today's hottest topics. And we're back with episode 80 with my co-host, my boy, Trey Day XXIV. What it do,
Yes,
baby? Tell me how you living, man.
sir. Yes, sir. I'm doing all right, man. Everything's everything. The summer, like when we start getting this part of the year, it's a little bit of combination between transition and leisure. So, it's a good feeling, man. I'm rolling with the punches, and at the same time, gonna succeed in the end. So, just happy to be here, man. I wish it would warm up a little bit, but other than that, I'm chilling, bro. I'm chilling. How about you? How you doing?
Man, you already know me. We spoke before I started recording. It's a little stress. The majority's got me a little stressed at work, man. I was supposed to be done like an hour and some change ago, but had to do some
The
last minute
Karens
stuff.
and the
So
Chads.
yeah. I wasn't even able to open up a bottle of wine to, let loose a little bit. So I'll just stick with the water for now. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
So what is that? You got some Henny right now?
they don't know what's in my cup. Police think this water, playboy. This ain't water.
This
Nah,
ain't water. This
this
ain't
ain't
water.
water. This that Grey Goose, man. No, let me stop.
This dude's a
But
clown.
it's a little bit of that, that dirty. That dirty.
Okay. Yeah. I can't wait till we record together again because
Bro, I
I miss
can't
I
wait,
miss
man.
I miss when you used to bring some surprises. So cool. Yeah. So you had some memorabilia or something like that. I saw that you sent me a lot of like different. I think it was magazines or books on MJ and their dynasty in the '90s. Talk to me a little bit about that for a little bit.
So yeah, I had a family friend that was she was kind of terminally ill, and she just was like, "Yo, like, I know." She gave it to my mom. She said, "Hey, I know Trey would appreciate these," and she gave me like literally, and I didn't know how much of a blessing it was, but they were like limited, like I don't know what magazine it was. They're like sports magazine or something, and they were like literally they were the Last Dance magazine. It was like the final
Wow.
season, the Last Dance. It was like the NBA greats. So there was one with Michael Jordan on the cover, another one
Mm-hmm.
with like the Bulls last season on the cover,
Yeah.
another one with like the NBA, like in the All Stars at the time in the league, and there was like another one on the Bulls. So it was like it's crazy, like how crazy that aged and. I guess how blessed I am to have somebody who's like looking down on me now because she passed away, but she was like, "Hey, I know Trey would appreciate these." When she had like a nephew of her own too, she was like, I'm just gonna give it to the person that might appreciate it the most. And those right there, like they're gems. And I haven't even dove into them like I should just yet. But just knowing I had them, I kind of put them up in my mom's house in the closet. I put them up there. I was like, I'll sit
Wow.
on them. I wasn't thinking too much about it. And I always go back and look at this stuff like that. But yeah, bro, it's a blessing. I'm gonna dive into it sometime soon and definitely bring you some so you can check them out because they're
Yeah.
they're literally like live, huge. They're more photo than magazine, just capturing the moment of the Last Dance. It has like Dennis Rodman on them with the hair. They're like crazy clear photos in it. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's dope. I definitely want to check that out. So whenever you buy my way, just leave it
Jealous.
on this step and then I'm gonna check that out. But without further ado, are you ready for the hottest topics for episode 80?
Let's do it, man. Episode 80. Let's
All
get
right,
into
all
it.
right, all right. So the last dance ended. So sad, so sad, so sad. ended on Sunday.
Yeah.
Episode 9 and 10 were the last two episodes, and we're just gonna do a little breakdown from. Honestly, we're just gonna switch it up a little bit. Honestly,
All right.
to summarize episode 9, it started off with the relationship between Reggie Miller and between Michael Jordan. And Reggie
Yes.
always said that, him and MJ had a unique relationship. A lot of people, during MJ's era when he came into the league had a fear for him. But Reggie was like, nah, I'm not about that. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, Reggie said he respected him. And what was crazy with that episode was obviously that was the last dance 1997-98 season, but more importantly, the 1998 Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay.
And, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and others basically said, aside from the New York Knicks and the Bad Boy Pistons in the East, they gave them the most competition, the most scare, which
Yeah.
was crazy as well too. So I believe what they went 7 games, right?
Um, did they go 7 games? 7 or 6? I know
I,
they said
I
Jordan never lost a game 6, but they probably went
he went
7 games.
never. Yeah, I think he never lost the game. Never won seven
Lost a
games in
game
the
6.
finals, right?
Okay, but no, okay, yeah, yeah, okay, gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah. So basically, that joint was crazy because they went. Yeah, they went a whole. No, they won in I think they won in 7 games. And yeah, he
Gotcha.
said it was very tough as well too. So it was pretty cool to see um, Reggie Miller back in the day, go at it because he's one of the, at least for our generation, when we think of like elite shooters from back in the day, we think of
Yeah,
Reggie Miller, you know what I'm saying? Obviously we have players like Steph Curry and Damian Lillard and Kyrie and whatnot who have, changed it a lot. I'm saying? The landscape of the league has changed a lot where 3 points are more prominent nowadays. But back in the day, like Reggie Miller was one of those guys as well too. So um it was kind of crazy because with episode 9 they're going back and forth between the Eastern Conference Finals and then the run with the Utah Jazz. So
yeah.
they focus on the 97 series, and they also focus on the 98 series as well too. And what was interesting, what came to mind was that on June 10th, 1997, before Game 5 started,
Okay.
in Utah, MJ was saying that he was in the Marriott and he was real hungry. He was like, "Yo, like I'm hungry. We're trying to check out to see what's open, what's not open," and he ends up ordering pizza. And I felt like the pizza spot was like miles away. And they ordered a big box of pizza. And then when they came to deliver the pizza, he and his right hand man basically said, "Yo, there were like 5 guys who delivered this pizza, which was ridiculous."
Yeah,
And
but
from that, he was the only person that ate it. And then a couple hours later, he's like, "Yo, I'm not feeling good right now. Like
that's super wild.
something's up." And he ended up having food poisoning, which is crazy because we call that game
Flu
the
game.
classic flu game, right?
Yeah,
But I think you can still call it flu game because those are flu-like symptoms. You know what I'm saying? But it was kind of crazy how I don't think if it was any other player aside from like Kobe, the only person I can think of right now that would play through that is probably Kobe Bryant right now.
yeah.
So it's kind of crazy how they were down 29-18. He ended up playing 44 minutes, scored 38 points, and they won by 2 points as well too. So talk to me a little bit about just that series with Utah the year before the last one, and then how you feel about him with the whole flu game and whatnot.
Well, the flu game perplexes me because he had to be dehydrated like a mother, like he had to be because I can't function half the time. My stomach hurts, dog. And I hoop all the time. You know what I'm saying? I run for days, but my stomach hurts is like, I'm gonna pack it up. Peace out. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully I get, what I'm saying, I make it out the door. So that means whatever transpired, whatever was running through his system had to have already ran through a system. And I'm not gonna get graphic, but you know what I'm saying? It had to have already like came and went and whatever like that. So he probably didn't have nothing in him, other
Yeah,
than the water and whatever they were trying to pump in him. And I know when you get sick, like even the water, like your body's trying to get rid of whatever it is that's poison in it. So whatever you have in it, having you, it just seems like an extra added burden. Even if it's helping you, just drinking that water, drinking that juice is tough to do. You know what I'm saying? We've all been sick. We've all had the flu per se, and like there's similar symptoms. So I could imagine how like dude was probably like seeing double. He probably didn't reach like a level, like you know what I'm saying? He probably didn't reach like a stable level until the end of that game when he started hitting shots and stuff like that. You know, like just as
Yeah.
far as feeling wise, you know what I'm saying? I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going into all the other stuff, but just like yo, like I'm right now in court. I feel like I'm about to die. Then he probably, probably okay. I can do this. I can lift up a little bit, get my shots off. So we probably started feeling like Michael Jordan again towards the end of that game, the fourth quarter, and it's crazy he stayed locked in mentally enough to do that. Which I mean, that's Jordan for you, you know. Uh, the thing that sticks on me the most about the Jazz is just how crazy like Karl Malone was. I mean, I guess we could wrap back around to it too because we have to talk about the eventual '98 season. But Malone, Stockton, like phew, crazy. Like I don't know, he's just a big dude, and for him to be hitting those shots, it was like Shaq with a jump shot. And I'm not no disrespect to Shaq and nothing like that, but he was a load to handle. But at the same time, he was making every mid range shot he took for whatever reason. It was like, dude was a force. And just to foreshadow, like he almost beat them in '98 if Michael hadn't stayed outside and got that steal. But
That's
the
right.
Jazz
Yeah.
were a force to reckon with. Did you want me to go into to Reggie Miller and the okay, all right.
We want all the smoke. We want all of it.
We want all the smoke. Shout out, shout out. But the thing that gets me the most about Reggie Miller is, that's one of the people like he talked trash, but
A lot of trash.
he cowered down and he said it. He admitted it to Michael Jordan. He was not going to talk trash to Michael Jordan. That was only
Mm-hmm.
going to make his life harder. He talked trash to everybody, dog.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, he was a shooter and a sniper. He had that clip on him in a way more physical league. And if you want to draw the comparisons, like, Seth wouldn't be able to function in the old basketball where you can hand check. Well, Reggie Miller played, and I honestly believe that Reggie Miller wasn't as much of a guard as Steph was. You know what I'm saying? He was a shooting guard per se, but as far as like a point guard, as like an all-time ball handler and stuff like that, kind of making plays for his team, like the duration of the game, I think Steph does that more than Reggie Miller did. And Reggie Miller was definitely getting touched up. You saw like Michael got hit by a screen in that one clip, and Reggie like faded it and came back, and Mike was like racing to get out to him and stuff like that. Like that's how physical the game was. So if Michael was getting hit by screens, Reggie was definitely getting touched up, running through the paint and stuff like that. He probably just got hit 2 or 3 times before he got to that screen. So he's probably just happy to like have the sun to see the sun that time. So I give mad props to Reggie Miller for that. The physicality, and I think we have to, when we're comparing the past to the present, we just have to take an accountability, which is tough because we want to speak in absolutes when we're having a debate, but we want to take an accountability how people adapt, and how their games would change
Yeah.
and how they would handle the new stuff. Because I don't, not saying that players don't change, but I think they're gonna do what they do best, but they're gonna adapt it to the game. You know, like Reggie Miller was doing. I think Reggie Miller would score just as much, if not more, in today's game. I think Steph might do the same. Definitely with a 3-point line back then, shooting from damn near half court shots. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I give props to Reggie Miller for that, and the Pacers for just being that team to have the Bulls rattled the most, and to loop back around to Jordan fighting through the flu game, as well as Karl Malone being the beast that he was.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, this is gonna be an ongoing thing with, 90s, 80s, 90s basketball and the modern day NBA as well too.
Mm-hmm,
So like
mm-hmm,
what you said, I think, you know, we're more skilled than ever. Obviously, if you're a great player in your own respective right, your game can be translated into any era. But
Yep.
what I loved about this documentary is the physicality. Like we don't really get to see that much. I mean, we see a good amount of it in the playoffs, but it's still a little soft. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when they always be like, oh, who wins, the 73-9 Warriors or the 72-10 Bulls? It honestly depends on what era you're playing in. Because if they allow hand checking, Steph's gonna do Steph, but like it's gonna be tough. You know what I'm saying? Like you saw
Oh
how
yeah.
physical Dellavedova was with him that first year they got to the
He's gonna get touched up.
championship. So you're gonna get touched up. Clay gonna get touched up as well too. So it would be interesting to see as well. So that's what I missed about. That's what I'm gonna miss the most about this documentary in general as well too. And what was cool was they introduced Steve Kerr. So the general idea of Steve Kerr was you know, having that trust with Michael Jordan, but they kind of
After
had a
getting punched in the
backstory
face.
with them. Yeah, after getting punched in the face, they kind of had a backstory with Steve Kerr, and basically he was saying like, "Yo, I wasn't supposed to be here. It was just hard work and dedication that essentially got me here as well too." But what kind of sped up that process was his father,
Yeah.
which was crazy. I believe Steve Kerr and his family were born in Lebanon, and then they actually moved to the United States. And I think his dad got a new opportunity to be a professor in Lebanon. And basically, I think they said on January 18th of 1984, Kerr, his dad, was shot and killed by two gunmen outside his office. He was only
Mm-hmm.
52. And then it said years later, information regarding Kerr's assassins and their motives still remain uncertain. News of the sudden death, which was yet another tragic event in the Civil War, appeared in the media worldwide. So I think it seems to me because he stood for something and he was such an advocate, that's what resulted into his death. But I
Yeah.
just want to bring that up, RIP. But anyways, that kind of forced him to utilize basketball as a way of coping as well too. And I think that's kind of where Jordan and Steve Kerr actually clicked as well too. Obviously, they're both a little bit feisty and whatnot, but I think sharing that commonality kind of brought them together as well too. And because of Steve Kerr, Jordan was able to get to where he wanted to be as well too. Um, and another quote that was pretty good was, you know, going into the 1998, we're going to episode 10 right now too, because it's kind of a big continuation to be honest,
Facts.
for real.
Facts.
But going into the 1998 series against Utah, um, there's some guy that speaks. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's just like, "Yo, most people live in fear because we project the past into the future," and that was a gem for me. And he basically, it basically left for him to say that MJ. One thing about MJ was he never thought about the past. He never thought about what's to come. He always looked at what was in front of him. So he was always essentially a prisoner of the moment, always present as well too. But damn, that '98 series was crazy. Knowing that it's the last dance, knowing that you could get beat at any given time, they kind of took that with them. So game
Mm-hmm.
one, they lost. They lost game one in OT, which was crazy. Game two, they came back, won game. They won game two, 93-88.
Blew out.
Game two. Game three was crazy, bro.
Yeah.
They held the Utah Jazz to 54 points.
Yeah.
Like that was OD. Um, that shit was crazy. And what was crazy after game three, this man Dennis Rodman went MIA again. He already requested time off a couple of seasons ago, and he gonna come back in the finals, go MIA, miss practice. Everybody, yo, where Rodman at? Where Rodman at? It's perfect because there's no social media, but there is a live television show that was popping back in the day, which was WCW, and they put up on WCW with Hulk
Some good wrestling.
Hogan getting chairs, hitting people, pinning people, and all that, which was crazy. Um, and that's wild because if someone would have did that back in the day, first of all, you're getting caught. Second of all, you're getting fined probably what at least 15 to 25, maybe $50,000 as well too. So
Good money. Big money.
it kind of speaks to the trust that the teammates have with them and also what the coach has with them as well too, because they know at the end of the day, like I can do whatever off the field. I mean, off the
Yeah.
court, but on the court, I'm giving you 110% regardless. So,
Yeah.
they came back, and they ended up winning as well too. Game four. No, they lost game four. No, they lost which game? Robin right now. And his return. Yeah, so they're up 3-1. Then I think they lost game five. And then game six, basically, that's when they talked about Scottie Pippen had back injuries and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I think they were up 17. No, the Utah Jazz were up 17-8 at one point. And Jordan was just like, bruh, like, is Scotty gonna be good? Like, what's up with this man? So Scotty keep going back and forth. And we're like, yo, like, if we lose this game here, then that puts a lot of pressure because game seven, everything is up for grabs as well, too. So they were
Hmm.
basically saying that Scottie Pippen was kind of used as a decoy as well, too, which is great to have, you know what I'm saying? But like you said, what really changed the game was when they were down 86-83, 41 seconds ago, MJ gets that layup and now it's 37 seconds and now they need to stop. So he comes from, like you said, he comes from the weak side, swipes the ball from Karl Malone, and then he basically looks at Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson's like, yo, go do your thing, bro. Like, you to go ahead. And that's when, what's the guy's name that was guarding him?
Um,
I can't remember his name, but we everybody know who he's talking about.
mm,
Homie went to go guard him, and everyone keeps saying like, "Yo, that was a push off." But when you look at that footage and they kept showing the replay, he actually was about to fall. So
yeah.
one thing led to another, and that's one of the most iconic shots ever as well too. Um, and
Yeah,
it's crazy.
the momentum, he already, his momentum was going that way. I don't think Mike pushed him at all or too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like maybe like, yeah, he had his hand flexibility, but I don't think Mike pushed him at all.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So I guess my next question for you, now that we wrapped up everything, like, what were your biggest takeaways? I'll talk about my biggest takeaways, but yeah, I want to ask you after I give my take, like, what were your big
Okay.
takeaways from, you know, the Last Dance in general? So first and foremost, my biggest takeaway was just the reminder of how great MJ was and how
Yeah.
he solidified himself as a GOAT as well too. Because like you said, you grew up with 90, you born in 95?
Yeah.
You born 95, I'm born 94. We're not really competent enough. Like we see the
Yeah.
ads, we see him on TV. We got our parents got us the J's and whatnot and stuff. So,
Yeah.
we think he's damn near a god, but we didn't really get to see him play like that live and follow that. So I
To
feel
not
like
stand
our
it.
goats were Kobe, our goats were AI, our goats were, LeBron James as well, too. People who have changed the entire, culture of the NBA as well, too. So to see we've seen the overview of the story, but to see him break it down in each and every single episode and get to see what he did on a daily basis was pretty damn cool as well too.
Facts.
And another thing I learned as well is like it it takes a village essentially. It's cliche, but it takes a village to raise a child, you know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
without going through those hardships, Jordan wouldn't be where he is as well too. Another thing I learned as well too is like it kind of starts from the top down. And when I say that, like your owner has to be in sync, and then from your owner, your GM has to be in sync. Your GM has to essentially go out and find the right coaching staff, and then from that, he's the one who's orchestrating who is he going to draft, what players is he going to trade for, who's he going to
Yeah.
sign in free agency. So it really all comes down to that whole unit working in tandem. Obviously, players will play a huge role. Don't get me wrong, but without the GM making those moves, without him, Jerry Krause trying to get Scottie Pippen or signing Dennis Rodman or trading away Horace Grant, like the Bulls aren't winning those championships. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
So credit to him. I know they painted him in a bad light, but overall, he may go down as one of the best GMs of all time, to be honest.
Yeah.
And another thing I learned as well too is if you want something real bad, you just have to be motivated within, and you just gotta quote unquote win at all costs as well too. So that was pretty motivating for me. And another thing was the physicality. The physicality was phenomenal. And I
Yeah.
wish we were a bit more physical nowadays. I feel like it can be a little diluted, but at least until we get to the playoffs. But those were some of my key takeaways, and just how he just changed the whole culture, and players actually in a way um, utilizing their platforms to expand their brands, which I enjoyed about him as well too. But talk to me about your key takeaways.
Um, I think I guess I'll bounce around a little bit, but
Okay.
Jerry Krause one being I mean they started paying him in the greatest picture and stuff like that for breaking the team up. You have to give him his flowers though for making the team, for making the moves he did. Even bringing Kukos in that hit super big shots, had really good seasons over the years. And they were like, oh, like they got on him because he's not about to be the next best NBA thing. I mean, he wasn't an NBA guy by any means, but he was definitely one of the NBA superstars. Definitely the season when Mike left. He hit a few. We talked about this last podcast. He hit a few like beaters that season. He was a clutch guy. He was an experienced guy, and he helped the Bulls roll. And he even hit big shots when Mike came back. So for a team to make a move like that when a lot of teams weren't making moves like that to go find a player that was overseas and stuff like that. Jerry Krause knew what he was doing. Simple as that. Um, I think it speaks to MJ, and there's always a question. There's always like wonder. Is he's not saying necessarily he's a man of mystery, but it's the most dialogue we've ever seen from MJ. I think
Yeah.
the part where they would like pass him like the iPad to see his reactions was like probably the dopest part because it was like open dialogue. It was like, yo, show us emotion. Oh wow, respond to the emotion. We don't really see Mike talk that much, and it's weird, but we don't, and we know him, the man, the myth, the legend, like to smoke cigars and stuff like that. But I mean, he had an innate ability to just be competitive. He always had like that child-like competitive, never wanted to lose. And I say child-like, and it kind of dumbs it down, but that's all it is. Before life hits you, before stuff gets hard, before society gets to you, you all you are is like you want to win, you want to compete, you want to be successful, finish out on top, and he had that childlike giddiness to him. Because I've noticed him after the finals in Utah. I was like, hey, we did it. Hey, like it wasn't no like super big speech. It wasn't no like, yo, we won this. Like did the finals when like after his dad, he lost his dad, being a little bit more, he was a little bit more emotional. Yes, but at the end of the day, he was like he just won an AAU tournament. Oh, let's go to Chuck E. Cheese. Let's go to let's go to Jeepers. So,
Yeah.
it was it was very childlike and pure. So you know, he found a line with his passion, his calling. What I would love to have seen, or love for them to talk about a little bit more, is maybe the psychology or what exactly, and maybe MJ is above the rest and is in a class of his own because there wasn't just a moment where it was like, yo, I have to be the best. Yo, I gotta, some people like it snaps on them. I feel like Kobe's always talked about, kind of the time where it's like, yo, like, I gotta kill this. Like right around high school, right around middle school, it's like, yo, I hated this. I gotta do this. I mean, we know Mike got cut like his freshman year or his sophomore year from the basketball team, but where is the innate just super competitive aspect come from him, and what's the psychology around that, and what was the like, yo, you'll never be better than me ever kind of mindset come. So I don't know. I appreciate the doc for showing a little bit of light on Michael Jordan, who we know is the guy. Um, and it always leaves me wanting more from Michael Jordan because I mean, how can you know or see enough with that? Let's see what else. What else? It'll be interesting in the days and weeks to come. Because I know Horace Grant has already talked about it a little bit, but even Scottie Pippen and other teammates and stuff, how they get their reactions. And I think it's interesting as we waited to the end to hear some of their reactions. Like Horace Grant has been super vocal uh, within the last day or so since the end of this. Scotty, I think, just chimed in and said something that the reports are
He
true.
was
So it's
livid.
like, I'm interested because why not say something after the first one? Why not? And then two, who's making money off of this? Like who you sat down, they weren't all doing like there was footage, there's recent footage, like not I say recent, maybe in the past 5 years, there's recent footage of them talking on these cameras. I mean, I know documentaries and TV is cut a certain way, but you decided to be part of the documentary. You decided to, give your current update on the situation. So why would you wait until now to kind of chime in on it? And I understand the victors, the most sexy party is going to get to kind of write the story. And Michael Jordan was the most sexy party. Phil Jackson was the most sexy party pause. But you got to understand what I'm saying. They were the most victorious, the most attractive person to put on that pedestal. So the story's gonna get told their way because you want to see the inside looking at them. The team encompasses that, and I'm interested to see like where this goes. And for me, I think from a leadership standpoint, because the document talks about leadership, it talks about following, it talks about playing your role, and everything that goes in with that. I think for me, there's not much you can fault him on. There's not much you can fault him on how it was produced or anything like that, because the producer's going to produce it. But Mike, you know, that's what it was. And if he treated you a certain way back in the day, and you were a role player, and he carried the burden. He was the defining reason why you guys won 6 championships. You might have to just take this one. And I'm sorry, it brings back bad memories of Mike and him getting on you in practice and stuff like that. You might have to just take this one. Now, is there are other sides to that? Yes, but you might have to just take this one and say, yo, you know what, this was less about me and more about the process, and definitely more about Mike. Yes. Last thing, and I'll wrap this speech up, was the conclusion with Phil Jackson, how they all wrote everything down, and
That was
you
fire.
know, it was tough, and it made me like, all right, uh, it made me reflect about kind of like life and how like you know when a chapter closes, but maybe that's not necessarily that there is closing. You're not gonna always get closure in those situations, whether it be anything in life. But maybe just taking a conscious effort to be appreciative of the things that have happened, maybe in the last year, in the last few months, and stuff like that. Take a conscious effort to say, hey, this is good. And I think that Phil was good about that because he was good. He's good about getting the most out of his players too, and he knows those guys for those 8 years, those 3, 4 years, however they were long with the team at that moment, gave it their all to accomplish that dream. So it just meant that much more to put
Yeah.
that stuff in the fire and create closure that way. So it made me reflect. It made me kind of, all right, maybe next time a chapter ends in my life or a chapter starts, maybe I can attack it a little bit differently, and maybe even the closure will give the new chapter a little bit better of a meaning if I approach it a certain way. So yeah, that's what I took away from the documentary.
Yeah. Question for you, just yes or no, and you can chime in. If you chime in, just let me know less than 20
Yeah,
seconds why.
yeah,
If they were able to run it back 1998, obviously they get older, they may have to move around some contracts, and obviously in Jordan's head, he's the ultimate winner. If they came back for the 98-99 season, Phil Jackson was there for one more year, signed a 1 year deal. Do you think they would have won?
yes, because Jerry Krause.
Because Jerry Krause,
Hot
for
take,
sure.
hot take. Yeah, I mean he,
Yeah.
he got the job done.
Hmm. Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Like I said, with this documentary, it definitely reiterated why he's the GOAT. And it's kind of funny because when LeBron came back from the 3-1,
LeBron
the
James.
3-1 deficit against the Golden State Warriors in 2016, that's when Jordan signed off on the whole documentary, and that's when the process started. So he's like, yo, don't
That
get it
boy's sick.
twisted, Playboy. You may have came back from a 3-1 deficit, bruh, but I got 6 of them things, and I lost 0 of them things. Granted, you have
That's over the
more
years,
finals
Petty.
appearances, but at the end of the day, winning is one of the reasons why we play basketball. Aside from just enjoying the actual aspect of playing it,
Winning
we do
cures
this to win.
everything.
Winning cures
Winning
everything.
cures everything.
So the next segment I want to go into is like, obviously, I feel like it's going to come a point in time where we're just going to have to appreciate just greatness within a specific era. Like there's just goats of different eras, but
Okay.
knowing how fans are, knowing how the media is, everyone is always going to be an ongoing thing. Who's a goat? Who's goat? Who's goat? Even if there is a goat debate, let's wait until someone's career is old. You know what I'm saying? Like LeBron James
Hmm.
is still in his prime, which is fucking ridiculous. I still don't get that shit till this day. But my question for you is, what do you think LeBron James has to do to win us the majority over as being the GOAT? To me, I think it's he probably has to win two more championships, and within those two championships, he has to be Finals MVP, and that would basically help him out because he would have gone to three different franchises and won championships for each of those organizations as well too. You know what I'm saying? Miami Heat obviously won in '06, but after that they never reached the finals again. Cleveland hasn't never won anything. He came back there and won. After Kobe left, the Lakers were in a drought. Even like during obviously when Kobe got injured, they were in a drought. So they haven't seen any jewelry when they're so accustomed to winning. I feel like if he can do that, and if he's on pace to score what he's scoring, assist what he's assisting, rebound what he's rebounding, winning what he's winning, he'll probably end up having more wins, more points, more assists, more rebounds, and then you take into effect longevity of him as well too. And like I said, those three different franchises, although you don't have those wins, I feel like if you have five with like well, you got 8, 9 finals appearances,
Yeah.
adding those two rings, then I think we can open that back up. But as of right now, we should wait until his career is over with. But what do you think he has to do to be considered the quote unquote GOAT?
Hot take alert. He can't do anything.
Mm, it's finished. Why?
He can't. Look at society. Look at outside of the basketball court. We live in a cancel society where the elephant never forgets, where if you do something that I can hang over you, that we think we can, talk about forever, ever and ever, that's it, it is what it is. And, being that you're comparing almost apples to oranges, and it's tough because you try to elevate it to the same plane. You're still comparing two different things when you look at, hey, the Bronze went at three different franchises. Jordan stayed with the same franchise. I mean, pretty much. I mean, definitely throughout his prime, pretty much. I mean, there's people that don't even know Michael Jordan played for the Wizards, and that's kind of crazy,
Yeah, I wanted
It's
those
kind,
shoes so bad. I think what were they, the 21s, 22? I don't even know what they were, bro. But with the strap joint,
yeah.
mom was like, yo, that's too expensive, little nigga. My fault. My fault for cutting you off.
So no, you good, but like really, like it's kind of a societal mindset, and even like I'm gonna have to basketball heads into that too. Even the esteemed people, even it's gonna be a hard argument for somebody to give LeBron the GOAT, even with his accolades, even if he does win two more or anything like that, it's gonna be hard because you're like, oh, look at the fashion in which Jordan did it. Look how focused he was. Look how he didn't need anybody, even though he had some damn good players by his side, and and he had better head office and general management
That's what I
and,
was
and
saying too.
franchise heads than LeBron, other than maybe uh uh but from a dynasty, from a franchise point, I think Kraus and the Bulls owner and the management, they were number one. And I
I mean,
think
yeah,
you could,
he was already at a disadvantage because, and
yeah,
I've been harping on this for episodes and episodes and episodes. Like, if you're not in a warm weather market
yeah,
or in a high value city like a
yeah,
metropolitan, then you're already at a disadvantage. If you're in a smaller market, you know how hard it is to attract marquee free agents.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Or make these trades. Like it's very, very hard.
yeah,
So he's already at a disadvantage with that. And then also with LeBron, he ain't never had someone like Phil Jackson before. He went through a lot of different coaches. I mean, the best coach
yeah,
you can say he had is probably Eric Spoelstra, and then probably this year um, with Frank Vogel. But he's went through a
yeah,
lot of coaching changes. Was in a different market. He's always worked with less as well too. Not necessarily because MJ only had one other All Star with him. To be honest, LeBron
yeah.
had always two with him. But keep going. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No, I mean that's a point essentially. But yeah, so if I went down the line, I would put the Bulls organization. Then I would put, at the time, the Heat, then the Lakers. because the Lakers have kind of been in turmoil the last few years, trying to scramble with the Magic Johnson stuff, with Kobe leaving, trying to find a new face. Honestly, yes, it's a more established a franchise, but the Heat knew what they were doing. Pat Riley gets the job done, just that and their easy cut drive, and then I'll
Yeah.
put the Lakers in that. If there was a three-headed monster per se, it would be Bulls, Miami, then the Lakers as far as uh, LeBron's difficulty of management might have went.
Mhm.
Uh, and to wrap my point up, I don't see it. I don't see it. We don't forget the internet remembers everything. We live in a society that honestly, if it's MJ and the people that worship MJ as he came up, we're the people that worship LeBron as he came up or worship Kobe. We don't see them in the same light, unfortunately. We just don't.
Mhm.
We don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not saying that who's the better player here. I'm saying what it would take for somebody to give LeBron essentially the GOAT manifesto or for a big shift into thinking. I don't think that's going to happen, even after it's all said and done.
Yeah.
Definitely with documentaries like this, Michael Jordan's still playing a competitive game. What? I mean, like seriously, he's still playing to win.
Yeah. It's actually sick. It's almost like he hates losing more than he enjoys winning.
It's like you graduating the year after me, and on your you're my brother. You're my little brother, and on your graduation day, I post all my graduation pics from last year, and don't even shout you out.
Don't even shout me. That's actually sicko. Nah, but you're right. It just may be one of those things where he just already lost. Obviously, like we said, the people who haven't watched them and haven't seen this footage are going to say it's him. But
Yeah,
for the general mass who've been a part of this, you might
yeah.
be right, bro. You might be
It's like
right.
cultish.
But we are prisoners of the moment too. So
Ah,
if
that's what
he's
Michael
gonna
Jordan wants us to be.
right, yeah, that's true. But if we see LeBron's old ass, because he's in year what 17.
17, 18 going on. It's gonna be 18. Even if they start in July, it's gonna be year 18 for LeBron.
Can you imagine him in year 18 and 19 winning two back-to-back championships, playing at
Mhm.
that level, not low managing or anything like that? That would be ridiculous. But like we said,
And
we
then
gotta we gotta wait till his reign, his career is over with, and then we can actually reopen that discussion again as well too.
and then boom, Bronny James comes in to sub his father, LeBron James, out of the game for the very last time.
And that would be the day if they can do that. If they're on the same team or at least get to play against each other, swear to God, that'll be the day when LeBron say, "Yo, fuck this, I'm about to just go ball for y'all."
Oh God. Oh
Oh
God.
God, man. But aside from that, there's been some more news with the NBA as well too. Another headline that just came out, and they're saying that sources, NBA teams are expecting guidelines around June 1st for players to return. So NBA teams are expecting the league office will issue guidelines around June 1st that will allow franchises to start recalling players who've left their markets as a first step toward a formal ramp up for the season's resumption. Teams expect a similar timeline from the league on when they'll be allowed to expand individual workouts already underway within the market players to include more team personnel, sources said. Bearing any unforeseen turn of events, many NBA owners, executives, and National Basketball Players Association elders believe Commissioner Adam Silver will greenlight the return to play in June, with games expected to resume sometime before the end of July, sources said. The NBA is still considering a two-site format for the return of the season, including Orlando, Walt Disney Resort, and Las Vegas as well too. But there's been upcoming more news as well too. The NBA has Orlando slash Disney World as a clear front runner for the return to play site for resuming the 2019-20 season as well too. So it's good news that Orlando is going to be the destination spot. Like I said, if we could take the proper measures to, not spread the virus within the players and the personnel, the essential personnel, then I think we're gonna be good to go. But what are your thoughts with players essentially getting back together as early as June and then us resuming the 1920 season, man. Finally, it feels like we're in the right step. Knock on wood, some shit can always backfire, but I like
Yeah.
to tend to be an optimistic guy. But what are your thoughts about all that?
Um, man, I'm gonna sound like a hater,
Go
and I'll
ahead.
save
Hey,
and I'll save that. I think it would be very cool for the fans and the guys that have been wanting to play and put everything on the line for them as long as everything logistically is set up the right way. We possibly will have for maybe a month or so, month and a half, probably almost like 24 hours of basketball. It would kind of bring back to the fun of it, like because I would assume if there's only two sites, or if they just started the playoffs, depending on how they went. If there's only two sites, we would have day long of maybe ESPN and ESPN2 or I guess TNT. They
on
they
some
they,
like
they covered
NCAA March Madness
no
stuff.
on some Madness stuff. Like it'd be like 9 a.m. and you would see like
Y'all done.
the
Next team. Y'all done.
yeah next team, like and it would probably be fun like just to be resourceful and stuff like that. Not I don't know how real and how serious it would be taken within the league guys, and I'm saying this with the grain of salt, but at the same time, it's like these are guys you see all the time. It's like so seeing them without the fans, does it feel like the summertime? Because if it wasn't this kind of scenario, then they would be in all like at UCLA playing at the Rico Hines gym and stuff like that. So it might feel more like that to them than anything. So I'm just wondering how they're gonna take it too. But I think I think it would be cool to see that for basketball fans and for the players too. Personally,
Yeah.
I don't want to see the NBA come back this season. I feel like it's kind of
Damn.
botched at this point. Yeah,
So
I
you
mean,
so so more
I do
so
want to
more
see it.
so for more so for
The
health
integrity.
health reasonings or what it's supposed to all come with.
I mean, we'll go from top to bottom. We'll go health. Okay, we want everybody healthy. We want there to be a league to be able to play next season. We want two, the integrity of the championship in the game. I feel like if they could have brought it back now or like in June, cool. But when they're gonna start the 1920 season, the first of the year,
Oh,
probably December,
uh
right? They were saying December.
yeah,
But
I think it'll start in
realistically,
December.
realistically, it's the first of the year. Like preseason, and then we're gonna start regular season games or like kind of getting into the swing of stuff first of the year. And then what are we gonna like change basketball season? Or are we gonna be a shorted, a truncated season? Which I'm sure it'll probably be a truncated season.
Yeah,
Which
because I was about to say we've had a few like two lockouts in our at least in our
yeah,
time before.
yeah. So I could see them doing that. I mean, you gotta make money somehow. That's what they're trying to pick up from. But
I think the biggest fear was like meshing with the NFL ratings as well too.
yeah,
But when you think about the NFL, they only play on Sundays, so
yeah,
I I think
yeah.
in the long
But it's
run, though, I think
marketed the whole week.
yeah, yeah, that is true. I think in the long run, until we can actually defeat this shit 100% and get vaccines and get and have people, you know, everyone should get the shit for free if they so want to,
Yeah,
or at least be affordable. But it should be a free thing. I feel like not until when that happens, then I don't think we're gonna go back to normal as far as like the layout of the season starting in October, ending in June.
yeah, yeah. I don't see it either. I think they should be as cautious as possible. Do it right the first time, so you don't have to keep correcting yourself time and time
Mm,
again. So
yeah, and then one of
that's
my
it.
last questions before we end the episode. So, knowing that and being optimistic, from what I think, I feel like they're just gonna play maybe 5 games max before they go into the playoffs, knowing that is a thing,
Yeah,
um, and that we will kind of have an asterisk, with the season because we didn't get to fully play it out and whatnot and have that true experience. Do you think that whoever wins this championship this year, if we're able to play that long, do you think that's gonna have a taint on it?
yeah.
Why you think so? Because with me, I'm like, everyone's at a disadvantage, and this is life. A lot of obstacles are going to get thrown your way. So why not? You know what I'm saying? If everyone's at a disadvantage, everyone's going through this, and we all have the same ample amount of time to prepare, seeds 1 through 8 in the East and West, even if we don't do 7 games each round, we do 3 games, or 5 games, no, 5 game series, 5 game series, then the conference finals, 7 game series. If you a winner, you a winner. So like, why do you think that, you know, why do you feel indifferent is what I want to know.
Uh, I just think, and it sounds super psychological, but
I like it. I'm here for it.
in, but it's not a linear model. You know, people are so into, and this goes back to when I think of stuff. I think about it from a public eye perception. So not honestly
Okay.
what it means, but how it can be perceived as well. You know, so that's any information, that's anything, any happening, anything. Um, it's like telling your girl a story. You know what I'm saying? You want me to pod for a second? I'll pod, right? Like telling your girl a story. So it's like, yo, um, so we'll say the linear model is what you do today. She asked you what you do today, boo. Oh well, I woke up, I worked out, I went to the store, went and hooped with the guys, and I at the store, one of my friends was there, and ended up I didn't have my card, so uh they paid for my stuff, and I didn't have my car either, or so they drove me home. They actually we kept it at their place for a few, and I went back. That's linear. That's linear, right? It
Okay.
tie back around. But say you tell the story and you throw, boom, you throw your friend Tisha in there. Yo, what you do? Oh, I worked. I got up. I worked out. I went to the store. It turned out I didn't have my stuff. So I saw Tisha, and Tisha caught my stuff. Tisha drove me to the crib, and now we chill at Tisha's house for a little bit. So
Who's
now, who is
Tisha?
Tisha? Why was you doing that? So your day is almost invalidated because of that monkey wrench. You're right. Because and not saying everybody thinks like that, and I'm just proving the point. I, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, viewers, but
Wow.
but yeah, wow. But
Wow.
when
Wow.
you throw something that's not in the norm up there, it always brings into question what it have been if the action what it have been if it didn't have to be through adversity, or if it didn't have to be a change in what happened. And when all actuality, life is about adjusting. Life is
That's
about
so
the
that
standard third.
and that's my whole point. Life is about
Yes,
adjusting. You can only
but
control what
not
you can
everybody thinks like
control.
that.
Okay.
Not everybody
Okay.
thinks like
I see
that.
what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
I
There's
see
a
what you're
reason
saying
why
now.
only one person's a champion every year, because
Yeah.
those are the people that throughout the course of the playoffs can adjust, can stand a third. Because it's not easy beating people 4 times in a row. It's like that. So and even so looking at it from a pyramid level, or from the ground up, like, yes, the people that do win are gonna cherish that. There's gonna it's gonna be amazing. The people that do understand it is gonna be, yo, like, they won it, they made it through, and with the shortened season, when everything was going on, yes, it was crazy, it was great. But there's always gonna be people that put the asterisks by it and be like, well, that was a short season, and the reps, and if the regular season had played out, and this, that, and the third, there's always gonna be an asterisk. There's always gonna be an asterisk. And not saying that those are my views. I believe that you should be awarded for overcoming adversity, but in the long run, people are always going to put into question something that's not the norm. If they do go back to the norm. Now, if we do, if this becomes the new norm, if it becomes the new consistent for a little while, then it brings more validity or validation to whoever wins whatever draw up or whatever playoff format they have. It will validate that a lot more. But if we just go back into regular season, and we have the one truncated season from 19 to 20, and then 21, 22, we go back to regular NBA, people are always gonna look back at this and be like, was that a championship? Or, yes, it was a championship, but
If
how different
LeBron
was
win,
it from
if
the rest?
LeBron win, that's a championship.
For the LeBron
I
fans,
feel like he the main reason why the season.
oh,
Basically, why I feel like it's being forced to happen. He's like, nah, like
yes.
this is my prime. Like we hitting our stride. Like, I'm trying to win this chip. Sorry for cutting you off.
Eh, and I completely agree with that, and not even just that, but it's as far as legacy goes for the league. As far as faces go, why not be able to write this chapter of the league and then market it for years to years to come, just like Jordan wrote that chapter of the league and then they were marketed in 2021 when the last time Jordan played was, 2020, when the last time Jordan played was 22 years ago. So we can finish this LeBron chapter or, add to it. Boom. Like we can market this in 2022 years from now too. And the league only gets better as it ages. It's like wine in a way. So we have to some way, somehow put a period at the end of the sentence so we can keep writing this book. And I think from a league standpoint, that's awesome. Like from a storytelling, from a there's no gaps in employment pretty much here. Like there's nothing here that you could talk about, like other than remember when this happened? This is the NBA. Boom, boom, boom. Like if you can make NBA like not quarantine, but pandemic proof. If you can make the NBA pandemic proof and natural disaster proof, it's going to be something for people to hold on to. And these stories and these players and everything like that. And that's my 2 cents. Like that's what it is.
No. I definitely love how you play devil's advocate. So that was a good perspective as well too. I always like, what you have to say and your take on things as well too. I'm still thinking about that conspiracy segment that we had last week, which was pretty dope. Yeah,
Don't let it
man.
keep you up.
Yeah, man. So who knows what's to come with the NBA season? I'm so sad that the documentary came to an end. So it's gonna be interesting to see what content we're gonna be talking about moving forward until we actually see some movement being made as well too. But ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 80 of the Seezus show. Any last words for you, Trey Day XXIV?
Nah, man. Cherish the time you have. You know, stay present, stay in the moment, just like MJ was, and that's the only way you can really live, man. Don't stress what's gonna happen next. Don't stress what happened before. Just pay forward and be present.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. Be present, and you know, if you really want something, go for it. When it all costs, right?
Yes, sir.
If you love something, like I said, go for that shit. And a lot of people talk about pressure, 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 pressure. If you're constantly working on whatever you enjoy doing, constantly building up your skill, then there's no such thing as pressure. So, by any means necessary, when it all costs.
Yes,
Ladies and
sir.
gentlemen, that was episode 80 of the Season Show. Make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media at the Season Show, at TradedXXIV, at Sir Seezus. And we out.
Peace.